Hey guys, Jake back here again with another video, and I'm out in the field today. We've got a pond in a field. Pretty much all the creeks around here are dried up and they're dry as a bone. So I figured this right here would be a good spot for this video. So about a month ago, I went to see my younger brother graduate basic training, and he had a weekend Liberty Pass. And he was telling me while he was in basic training and when he goes through AIT and all that stuff, is there a good way to cool your water down? That way he's not constantly drinking warm water because he gets tired of it. They get water from the water buffalo, and that's where they fill their canteens and their camelbacks up, all that good stuff. But he said it is warm water. It's not cold. Now, to my understanding, warm water does absorb into the body quicker than cold water does, so it hydrates you faster. But if you're drinking warm water on a hot day, you're also raising your core temperature. He was asking me different ways that he would be able to cool down his canteens, or what he has in his canteens or in his camelback while he's on a ruck or something like that, or they're out in the field. So what they carry is somewhat similar to this. They have, a plastic GI canteen along with a metal cup. They carry one on each side of their flick is what they call it. It's like their web gear. So he has one on each side of them. And then, of course, he has a camelback. But one of the canteens they carry has a metal cup, the other one doesn't. And they have a cover that is a multicam, it's not a Woodland. And there is an easy way to do that through a process called evaporative cooling, right? So whenever we get hot, whenever humans get hot, we start to sweat. And when a breeze blows by us, it cools our body temperature down. That is a good example of evaporative cooling, is just through sweating. Now, if you're hot, if you're in the woods, you have a bandana or something, you get to a creek. Normally, a lot of people will just dip the bandana in their creek, they'll put it around their carotid arteries, and that will help them cool down because you have two major arteries that run through here. So if you have that cool blood running up to your head, it's going to cool you down. A lot of people will also carry things like insulated water bottles, and they'll put ice in them. I know I have a 64-ounce Yeti that is double walled, and I can put ice in that thing, and that ice will stay in there for 3 days. They work really well. They're 100% worth the money, especially if you're just out and about. But in the woods, most people will carry some type of canteen set or a water bladder. So what I'm going to show you today is a couple of tips or tricks that you can use on your canteen or your water bladder, what have you, to take advantage of evaporative cooling to cool your water down. Like I said, if you're hiking all day and you got water in your water containers, it tends to get hot. I'm going to show you a couple tricks you can do to cool that water down. It's not going to taste like you just pulled it out of the fridge, but it will cool it down to where it's not warm anymore. So stay with me. Okay, so we have our canteen set just laying right here on the ground. I brought out a heat gun. That way you guys can see the temperature. So this canteen is full of water. I haven't done anything to cool it down or heat it up. It's just how I've been carrying it all day while I've been out here in the woods. So we'll go ahead and take a couple of readings here. 78.8, we're going to take 3. We'll just kind of average it. 78.1, 78.1, 78.4. So it is in that 78 degree range as far as the water temperature goes, which is fairly warm. So again, it is warm water in that container. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this lid off of this container. Let's see if it'll take a reading of the liquid inside. The liquid inside is 79 degrees. All right. So 79 degrees, and you can pour it in your hand. Whoops. A little, come up. Pour it in your hands. It's not super cool, but it's not super hot either. This isn't a super hot day, but it is a little bit warm. Okay, so we have our canteen. Obviously, it's in a canteen cover. This is a plastic canteen, so it's going to be a little bit more insulated than a stainless steel canteen. So whenever that water gets cool, it's going to stay cool for a little bit longer than it would if it was in a steel or a titanium container. But we have this canteen cover wrapped around it. So we'll go ahead and dunk this canteen cover into the pond here, and then we will set it up just like we had just a second ago, just like that. Let the breeze blow by it for a few minutes and see what it gets down to. Another method you can use is some type of, this is a cravat. You can use a cravat a wool sock would really work best because you want a insulating layer to be wet. You can also use a bandana, anything like that, an old t-shirt. You see how low this pond is. We haven't gotten any rain. There's a lot of pond scum up on the top of it, but dunk it in there. Get it nice and soaked. Like that. We got a nice breeze coming through here, and that breeze should cool it off very nicely. We'll let this sit out for a few minutes. Make sure this material is good and soaking wet, and it is. Let it sit out for a few minutes, and we'll check the temperature. So as we are giving this a little bit of time to cool down for the evaporative cooling to take place, we'll talk a little bit about it. Now, this will really only work if you are not in a super humid environment. Here in the summertime, if you're in the middle of the woods and there's no breeze, evaporative cooling doesn't work. It's like whenever you sweat and your sweat's not drying from your shirt just keeps getting more and more soaked. That's because the humidity level's high and the temperature level's high. If you don't have a breeze in that situation, it's not doing you any good. If you have a little bit of a lower temperature with a higher humidity level and a slight breeze, it will work. Vice versa, if you have a lower humidity with a higher temperature and a little bit of a breeze, or even just a low humidity with a higher temperature, it'll work because the sweat's going to dry up off of your body because you have a lower humidity level. We're sitting here giving this a little bit of time to do its job. We'll talk a little bit about it. Now, from the gear that I saw that he's been carrying, they carry a canteen cover similar to this. Again, 2 on each side of what they call their flick, which is like their web gear, like I said. And I was curious to see how good the canteen cover versus something like a cravat would work, because a cravat is fairly thin, but they do carry them. So I told him to just wet his canteen cover before he goes out, and he wrote me a letter saying that it had been working pretty well. He said the water is no longer hot, he said, but it's definitely manageable to whenever you drink it. It's, you know, refreshing, I guess you could say. It's not like bottled water he pulled out of the fridge, but he said it is cooler than just having this sitting on your flick out in the sun all day. A lot of your older military canteens were wool lined on the outside. They had a wool lining. Now again, wool is a very good insulator. So in the wintertime, it would keep their canteens or their bottles from freezing up. But in the summertime, they could wet them down while they're walking or rucking. And as they're walking and that breeze is blowing by them, it's cooling their water down on the inside and keeping their water cool so they don't have hot water. That's why a lot of your older military canteens or even canteens from the West had some type of wool lining on the outside of them, was so they could dunk it in the water and keep their water cool while they were on the move. Okay, so we've got the heat gun. I'm going to position it in a couple different places actually. It'll be better for me to get it at this angle right here. I'm going to do this strap, pull this down. I only gave it about 5 minutes. So we'll see how it does in 5 minutes. First one is 69.8, 67.6, 67.3. So it lowered it right around 12 or 13 degrees in just 5 minutes. Now we'll go ahead and test the water on the inside. Trying to aim down into it as best I can. 60.6, 61.5. So 61.5 degrees. Just sitting here for 5 minutes, probably less than 5 minutes. And again, like I said, we have a nice breeze going on today. These covers aren't super thick. They're definitely not like the World War II covers that have the insulator on the inside, the OD green ones, but they will work as somewhat of an insulator. So even in just 5 minutes, that evaporative cooling has started to take place. It already chilled our water down 10 degrees less than what it was. That's actually pretty amazing. To see that, to be able to see that with a heat gun is pretty awesome. Doing this and not having a heat gun and just going by, feel, you can definitely tell there's a difference. But actually seeing it with a heat gun, it tells you the temperature difference almost exactly. It's pretty sweet. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Now, there's going to be a lot of people who already know this stuff in the comment section, or whatever. I really just made this video to show people the importance of evaporative cooling, whether it's on your body or the liquid that you're drinking, and what it can actually do for you in a hot weather environment. Like I said, I figured this would be a pretty cool video to shoot. I'm Jake Trent with Buckeye Bushcraft. If you like any of the gear I use in my videos, you can check out my 2 links below. One of them is to my Campcraft Outfitters affiliate link, and then the other one is to my website, buckeyebushcraft.com. If you're interested in training, you can also go to buckeyebushcraft.com. We got some classes posted up on there, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys joining me for this little test / discussion on evaporative cooling and its importance, and some tips or tricks that you can do to help cool your water down. Hopefully you guys liked it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.